All right, man, we back. Goodfellas Sports TV. Let's talk about the rap game. Got some veterans in the rap game here. Going to talk about Rick Ross calling out 50 Cent, saying he'd take on 50 Cent in a Verzuz battle. But first, let's talk about this interview that Young Thugger did with $1 million worth of game. Shout out to them. They got bought up by Barstool, so Barstool is throwing out a lot of money in the black community. They paid Snoop Dogg a lot of money. Excuse me. It was Deion Sanders a lot of money. So they throwing money around. They some racist, but hey, I guess white, black come together when green. But let's get to it. Hit that subscribe button, bell icon button. Appreciate the love, support. Want to make a donation? Best way to donate if you hit the subscribe button, bell icon button, and share the video. But basically, you gotta understand Young Thug and Lil Wayne, had a violent history. And Young Thug talked about the origin of that beef. But basically, he said he looked up to Lil Wayne, like a lot of people did in his age bracket. I'm pretty sure he around 30, like I, around that area. And a lot of my, peers love Lil Wayne. He was cool. I like more different styles. Like Jada Kiss was my guy. Styles P, Tupac, DMX, Corrupt, Reggie Noble, y'all know, Redman, Keith Murray, Mobb Deep. That was my scene, like real hip hop. But I love Cash Money. The Hot Boys, BG used to live in my neighborhood in Detroit before he got popped. But Juvie was my favorite guy now, right? So Lil Wayne was a guy when I was coming up was an ad-lib guy. Why him and Turk? Shout out, B. I saw that Rolls Royce beef. But he was cool, straight up and down. He can rap, but it's ironic. Before I get into this conversation that he had with Gilly and Rollo, was that Gilly the Kid wrote for Lil Wayne. He even had Gilly the Kid chain on, okay? And Gilly the Kid is a guy who didn't make it, because, he rapped about, he was Philly, but him and my son, they was just too real for the industry. Right. So he was the guy that's behind the scenes writing for a guy like Lil Wayne. That's when Lil Wayne's style really started to change into a lyricist. Okay. But that's what's ironic about this conversation. But to dig a little bit in, people say, well, why didn't Gilly the Kid put himself on? Why didn't Mike's son get put on? You know how the industry is. Look at who they allow to get put on and who they don't. The Baby was saying he used to rap about, other stuff and positive stuff, and they made him dumb it down. I mean, some of you guys may not remember, maybe too young to remember. The Clips had a song called "Dumb It Down." That was Lupe Fiasco. The Clips had a song "Mr. Me Too," excuse me, and they talked about how they wanted them to dumb it down and how they was trying to play them, from the record business. So, to be honest, it's no more conscious rap. There's no more logical rap. You can be logical and still talk about dope in the streets, but they don't allow that rap no more. They done dumbed down the rap game so much where, Lil Wayne was a huge part of that dumbing it down. It's just to the point where, it's hard to get anything that's conscious or that's positive, not even positive, just anything that makes sense. Listen to the radio. Everybody got that, and a lot of people credit that to Young Thug, Future, the Migos, whoever, that same sound, and really, this era is just garbage. When Lil Wayne was La La Lollipop, I bought that album. What was that? The Carter 3. 1 and 2 was better than me, but the Carter 3 is what crossed them over to a whole different white commercial thing. But to get back on code, Young Thug said that basically when he met him, he reached out his hand and Lil Wayne left him hanging. Your idol, you reach your hand out and he say, F you. This is a dude who inspired you to rap. And he dish you like that. Even if you're a regular person, like I'm Young Thug, I'm about to, up and come a rapper. And that becomes the arrogance of a lot of people. Once you get so high, you accomplish so much in the industry, maybe music, maybe the film, it's just different. It's a different vibe. And, this led to, some, tour bus getting shot up. And what happened was he became entrenched or in the middle of him and Birdman beef about releasing the Carter 5. And at the end of the day, he was new to Cash Money. which, Gucci Mane was incarcerated, and that's what he was rolling with. But he was new to Cash Money, and Lil Wayne looked at him like, oh, this nigga Baby trying to replace me. And then we know that there was something sexual between Lil Wayne and Baby, and most people, after seeing, I remember Town Business, check his channel out, Town Business, Sports Entertainment, you just put Town Business JS in. He sent me some old pictures about about Birdman being in a hotel room or something with another rapper, with a condom wrapper on the floor. And they both was in, towels coming out of a steamy bathroom. I was like, nigga, that's old. But most people think that Birdman basically allegedly touched me, teased me, did that to Lil Wayne and messed him up in the head. All right. Most people believe that's what happened. And, most people believe with Lil Wayne and Young Thug that it was basically the fight for the man named Birdman. And it was more than rap beef. And, Young Thug from the street, say what you want to say about him putting dresses on and, what his sexuality is. But, he was about to put some steel on some whole little, saw the Baby say he about to put some whole choppers on his butt. You know what I'm saying? And Lil Wayne ain't never been no street dude. You can talk about bricks and white squares. He ain't never moved no bricks. He was just a really smart dude that could put words together. He was writing for Baby on the Big Timers, Get Your Roll On, whatever the name of that CD was. So he talking about, shooting gas. And the only time he probably shot at gas when he shot himself. Young Thug, somebody who really from the dirt. You know what I'm saying? But he basically said it all started from, your idol not wanting to dap you up. And when they shook hands, it was all petty and stuff of that nature. But that beef pretty much manifested into somebody damn near getting hurt, which Young Thug was exonerated of charges and this, that, and the third. Long story short, Birdman, Universal paid him to release the Carter 5. But if you think about Birdman, he was really the problem here. Because Birdman lost Juvie, didn't want to pay him. He was paying BG allegedly in dope. All right. So he pretty much was just stingy. It was a story going around that, he could have a mattress full of hundreds, and he didn't want to give his family money to go to McDonald's. And when he gave money, he asked for the change back. So he's just a frugal dude. At the same time, most of the wealthy dudes, and I'm not talking about rich, most of the wealthy people are stingy. How you think you can stack it up to multi-billion dollars? Because you're cheap, But that's crazy that, that beef manifested to that, man. And, to me, that's crazy. But then he went on and basically challenged Lil Wayne to a Verzuz battle. And I don't think he meant this, but he was just saying that Jay-Z ain't got 30 bangers, that everybody know. Which he went back, he just said it was an example that he didn't really mean that. We know he got it when, Gilly kind of, but he was just saying, I'm using him as an example. But he said he can basically compete with Lil Wayne in the Verzuz battle. And the only Young Thug song I know, and I know he really ain't mainstream, the only one I really know is Lifestyle. So, I wasn't really into his music, you know what I'm saying? But he said he got 30 songs that the whole 40,000 stadium know. I don't really know his music like that. He really wasn't my cup of tea. When I'm talking about Atlanta, I'm talking about Outkast, Tip, Gucci, Jeezy. That's pretty much Luda. Pretty much where I stop at. Goody Mob. But his maybe he do. A lot of people like his music. But I don't go to the clubs or nothing like that. And when I stayed down there, he really hadn't really came out like 08, 09, 07. But, he supposed to believe in his music. He said it cost him an M. He said he cut he cut his shows down to $1 million. So for the pandemic, he had $1 million to do a show. And I'm like, dude, is he $1 million show, dude? But maybe, this generation, maybe he got a whole CD with Chris Brown and all that stuff. So he said for him to show up as an M, but personally, I don't know his music like that. And I'm 31 years old. So, I don't really hear none of my guys that I came up with listening to it. But, it's a different generation. If you got the generation lower than him, growing up with him from 10 to 25, he in good shape. Because as your music grow, your hardcore fan base can grow with you. That's why Eminem can drop trash and people still buy it, because he has a hardcore fan base. He can drop a Pootie Tang album, with him not saying nothing, and people gonna buy it. So it'd be interesting. I would love to see Young Thug and Lil Wayne versus battle, and personally put they beef aside. But Lil Wayne ain't really on that tip to do a versus battle. And most of the superior artists, him, Jay-Z, Ice Cube, L Cool J, you know, whoever, they ain't willing to do it. You know, 50 Cent think he higher than what he is, but let's talk about Ross and 50. So Ross is on I'm More Than an Athlete. I forget, with Chad Johnson, Brandon Marshall, and the other dude that played in the league, the light-skinned brother. He asked him basically, you know, marketing, you know, if you need to market yourself, if you and 50 Cent went into a beef, it would sell right now. He was like, I don't know. 50 Cent, you know, he ain't musically relevant. You know, I'm dropping the album on top of the year. You know, basically he said, without 50 Cent having all those producers, super producers and artists around him, insinuating that the artists around him wrote music. We know Lloyd Banks wrote the hook in the club, and I heard he didn't even get credited or financially get money for it. That 50 Cent only got one album past, you know, Get Rich or Die Trying. He said he might have 2 records that relevant. Now, with Rick Ross, in my opinion, it's hard for me to say he got a classic album. He probably do. People say Triller. Port of Miami was close. I played that CD out every day after school. We went to my boy Melvin's house and played Madden 2K, played that out. But he got some good albums. But Rick Ross got features, albums. Remember, he already did it with 2 Chainz. But to be honest, 50 Cent, I like to Get Rich or Die Trying soundtrack and Power of a Dollar better than Massacre. But the Massacre was dope. Rider music. So I think if they was to do it, which I think 50 Cent think he a little bit higher on the hip hop or the rap, you know, hierarchy than he is. But that's a good battle. Because the Massacre was solid. You know, Rider music, Position of Power. Some people like Disco Inferno. That was cool. Lil Big, Candy Shop. You know, remember, the whole first album was incredible. Power of a Dollar was incredible. You know, so 50 got some bangers, but Ross, he been musically relevant longer than 50. You know, I don't know. That's a good question. 50 came out with 03, 02-ish, you know. And then remember, he had Wankster on the 8 Mile. So, you know, he got some hits. Him and Rick Ross would be a really good one. I think him and T.I. would be a good one. I thought T.I. and 50 Cent. But 50 Cent then moved on. And what happened with 50 Cent was he was beefing with Jimmy Iovine. And basically he blackballed or whiteballed 50 Cent off of radio. So that's why 50 Cent albums didn't do so good. You know, he had I'm Going Straight to the Bank. Ayo, he had some hits, but 50 Cent, you know, his first 2 albums was dope. And I like the Get Rich or Die Trying soundtrack. Ja, you a window shopper. I like that joint. Him and 50, Rick Ross and 50 Cent to break the internet. And people said, well, Rick Ross was a security guard. Well, he was a correctional officer, and that's where he got his stories from. But then again, 50 Cent is a snitch. So, I mean, obviously, however you want to, you know, talk about it. You want the correctional officer or the snitch, but 50 Cent writing, you know, he will help writing scripts and direct Power, which I don't watch Power and watch that snitch show. Is, you know, he got a portrayal of his son, and, you know, a failed relationship with your son is really is boils down to you being a bitch ass dude. But, you know, his mama done twisted his head up. He writing scripts about his son, making Eminem a superhero. I ain't watching that bullshit. The acting sucked in the beginning, other than you know, the main character, whatever Amari Hardwick, our character was. But, you know, that's something I want to say, but 50 Cent ain't gonna do it. It had to go down south to truly handle 50 Cent. Rick Ross destroyed 50 Cent. You know what I'm saying? And then he had to resort to pornos and all that stuff. So Rick Ross destroyed 50 Cent in the battle. A lot of people in New York ain't going, you know, say it, but he did it on the commercial level. Jadakiss and them was handling them, but, you know, I want to see Rick Ross and 50. That's a good one. That's something that you could put me down for, but, I mean, it is what it is, man. You know, let me know what you think about Young Thug and Lil Wayne thing. I felt Young Thug on that. When somebody diss you and don't even respect you as a man, even, you know, fuck an artist, but as a man, we got beef. And, you know, Rick Ross gonna pop his shit off on More Than an Athlete. So, you know, 50 Cent ain't gonna respond. What he say? You bought a house, you burned it down. He said you bought a house, burn it down, now you gotta buy another. You forgot this gas can, you stupid mother. Hey, that was my shit, Mafia Music. Ross handled 50. I don't care what none of you New York dudes say, but I love New York rap. Shout out to Queens, Coogee Rap, the king of rap in Queens. But don't forget, we on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You can reach out if you have a business question, inquiry, sponsorship, video request. All my social media links, description. Fast way to reach me is Twitter, then Facebook, then Instagram. Also, you can check out our Facebook group. Hit me up there. Want to make a donation? Cash App CJ Good 313. That's in the description. PayPal link in the description as well. Best way to donate is share the video. Hit that subscribe button, bell icon button. Appreciate the love, support. One time for the one time. We gone.